There it is, the Iron Fist Grapple. I had never seen anything like it. I suspect you haven't either. Let's give it a whirl today. So it will clamp however far that the load can be clamped. If the load's smaller, it'll clamp further. I'll haul this over to the junk pile and we'll get another load. So here we go with a small load, intentionally small load here. I'm going to choose these. Now this style grapple, I forget what the style is actually called. I've never really understood, but prior to the Iron Fist, which has all these extra joints, you left an opening here, right? So it was hard to really grab something. Well, watch how this guy will grab this. Look at that. It'll grab that right up there and it grabs it tight. So I really think they're aiming for the best of both worlds, right? You still get the advantages of a flat bottom grapple that we've talked about repeatedly, but you also get the advantages of a clamshell that'll clamp tightly. So that's the goal here. This is the very first day that this particular grapple's been released. They just released it today. We've had it for a few months, but we don't get to use it much because, well, we do most of our stuff on video and it was a super secret project. So I don't have a lot of experience with it, but I do have some. Now what I want to say first is that we are on Johnny X here. Now if you remember, Johnny X has extreme hydraulic flow and extreme hydraulic pressure. I really don't think this grapple is well suited for a subcompact tractor. It's just too heavy. I think it's better suited for a slightly larger tractor like the Kubota LX series or the Deere large 2R tractor. But it'll be fine with Johnny X here. See if I can run over the camera.
I
Probably
think
get in
so.
trouble if I do that.
Yeah.
Now this pile of stuff's been here for a long time, so it really has kind of melded together. And no, I won't carry it at its maximum. Hey, let me take a moment to talk about that. I kind of have two thoughts in mind when I see us carrying a load like this really high. The first is all the commenters that say, hey, don't carry your load too high. You don't know what you're doing with a loader. You always need to carry your load low, and that is true. Unfortunately, what you see is that the loads, when you get a big load with a grapple, it droops off either to the side or in this case off to the front. And if you try to lower that incredibly low, what happens is you bring it back under and you run over it with your front tires, which pulls it out of the bucket. And yeah, you drop it and then you just string stuff along on your entire path to your destination, which is, well, frustrating. The second thought that comes to mind is some discussion we've had about some of the third-party or other manufacturers' grapples that don't use hydraulics. And those have to hold pretty low. They can't really hold, clamp tightly while they go all the way up like this, right? And with that mechanical grapple not being able to tip back, it's hard to get that load up off the ground as high as you would like. Now that kind of brings with it a third thought, and that is we've got a self-leveling loader here. And likewise, it doesn't tip back as far as I would like. If I had the non-self-leveling loader, I could flip that load back a good bit more, and that would get some of this off the ground. So one of the challenges I find with a grapple on these little tractors is that the load droops, and yeah, you've got to deal with that somehow, some way. And that's why I think that a non-self-leveling loader works better with a grapple. That's also why I'm hesitant to recommend the mechanical grapples. Now, having said all of this, I will lower it as much as I can until I see that, until I see this stuff dragging, and I'll try to keep it just as low as possible while still hanging on to all the load.
Here he comes. He has to go a long ways around to find an opening between trees that's big enough for his load.
You can feel it being a little bit tipsy, I understand, but on the flat land here, I think I can manage it.
It still feels like winter here.
It really does release nicely. That's much better release than what we would see out of a standard grapple of this style. Not that it's horrible with the others, but you understand. Look at this. It's just like your fist. That's why it's called the Iron Fist. It's really too wet to be out here. I kind of hate to mess up the neighbor's yard. Maybe we'll get just 2 or 3 loads here just to see how the grapple works, and then we'll do something else. I tried to rake all the extra off there while I was still in the pile. But some of it's insisting on staying attached. I'm using the 2 grapple and 1 rake configuration. For a little lighter weight, you can choose just 1 grapple in the middle.
Guess he had a little bit to come out on his way that time. He easily got it though.
I picked up these pieces on the way back. They were some that, like I said, I ran over with my front wheel. I've often said in the past, I don't know if you've heard me say this, but it's easy to see a grapple pick up a big pile of brush like this, or a single big straight log, okay? What's hard to see a grapple do, or what's more challenging for a grapple, is to pick up just 1 or 2 pieces. And that's what I've got here in this load. This one really does a good job at that. For the sake of some variety, I think I'll just pile this pile up a little bit taller, just to kind of show what it can do there. And then maybe we can find something different to try to pick up with the grapple. Oops, I'm in high range. Some of this pile's already turned into compost. Look at that big pile of woods dirt there. They've been piling their brush here for years, and it eventually rots down. It's probably good enough just to leave here. I'll pick up this one stick here. See if I can pick it up kind of endways. Look at that. That's another thing that's hard to do with the grapple. Pick up one endways, and that one just grabbed it and rotated it right around. Here's some of this wild grapevine and stuff that I cleared out of here the other day when we had Vinny in here. Wow. It works really nice on the small loads. That's what it was designed to help with, and it really is doing the job. Now each of the grapples, I actually like to call them clamps, but the moving parts here, they weigh about 120 pounds. The rake, the middle part, it weighs 45 pounds. Now take a close look at that, and it has the same number of joints, you might say, as your hand. It really does look like your hand. You've got three joints there, and it's all controlled by one cylinder on each grapple. I think it's a very nifty design. I don't want to use it. I just want to sit here and open and close it all day, Christy.
Yeah, I can see that.
How about rocks? Let's see if we can find some rocks. Now I mentioned that I really didn't think this grapple was perfect for a subcompact tractor. Well, I believe I've got 285 pounds of grapple and rake, 120 plus 120 plus 45, and then I've got about 90 pounds of fork frame. Again, this is the Artillian fork frame. It only fits the Artillian fork frame. So 375 pounds. I have no idea how heavy this rock is. I want it pretty much in the middle of my grapple here. I think rocks are hard to pick up, hard to deal with a lot of times. I'm in high range, but there we have it. There we've got it. I think I'll drop it and pick it up again with one side just to see what it looks like. Now I noticed that the front tines, the top tines hit the ground, you know, a little before the rear ones when I've got it. The rear one's vertical, if that makes sense. So I have to learn the right angle to approach. Yeah, that's harder to grab. Makes sense.
This time was operator error.
Oops.
I just didn't clamp hard enough.
Hey, you're scratching up the rock that I might want to use.
Is this going to be one of the rocks for your
My rock
front
garden?
patio?
Maybe. Except now that you've scratched it, I don't know.
Well, we can pick it up with one tine. Of course, I don't want to do that because I'm kind of tipsy now. And besides that, the tractor's a little tipsy too. No, I'm not tipsy. I don't drink at all.
Except Diet Pepsi.
Okay, I'll drop it one more time. We'll try right there. I really have no idea how heavy this rock is, but it's heavy. It doesn't seem like Johnny X is struggling, but you know Johnny X has got a little extra juice in the joints. A lot of extra juice in the joints. I kind of wanted to have a hold of it with both clamps, but I guess this will work. I plowed this ditch a little bit last fall. It's actually out on the neighbor's property. Shh, nobody will know. But I opened this up a little bit to drain our yard a little bit better. And this rock came out, so I decided I better get it off before farming season. You guys saw last year our big tree fell. Well, we haven't got it all cleaned up yet, and there's still what I would call some widowmakers up there. Part of that big oak and part of the beech are broken up in the tree, and well, here they are. They're coming down a little bit at a time. So I think I'll at least move these out of the main road here. really too wet to be in here. I hate ripping this all up. I'll get this other big limb right here. I like how this is adaptive. The Iron Fist here is, it adapts itself. If it can't close all the way, it still clamps the load. In this case, it's able to close all the way, and we get a nice tight grip on the load. That's good. Let's see if I can find a little log in here to play with. I really hate to mud around, but I want to show you. Well, I want to see for myself, to be honest, how the logs are going to work. This is an ugly log, so actually I end up getting 2 or 3. I kind of like this. I mean, it really is flexible. I ended up dragging that same limb out I just threw in. See if I can separate that log. That'll be my challenge. Gnarly old thing. I forget what Neil from Dig Drive DIY calls that thing. A door knock, I think. Is it door knock? Door knock? Door knock?
I don't remember.
Neil, comment below. What is that thing called? A door knock? Where that limb comes out of there? Door knock? I can't remember. Okay. Well, I'm not going to mud this place up anymore. I'll set this down over here and we'll get out of here. My new hydraulic oil temperature gauge is working. It's up to about 115, 120. Not bad at all, but at least it shows it's working. Okay, so here it is, the new Iron Fist from Artillian. I'm curious to see how it's going to perform in the long run. I think we've shown some examples here. Obviously, this is not exhaustive, and you know it doesn't. There's no way I can give it a full test here in just one episode, but we will be using it. We have some nervousness about it, of course, because it's a totally new product. It's a style that's not ever been used before. So of course we're curious, maybe is a better way of saying it than nervous. I suppose there's a possibility that these could bend, but it's that 3/8 AR 400 steel that Artillian's used in the other grapple that I've had for 5 years, and I've never bent it. And so I mean I don't know that that's a case. I do think it's a little heavy for a subcompact. Johnny X can handle it because of his extra juice, but I think this is best suited for like the LX or just the slightly bigger tractors. Maybe the 3E. So a lot of these, probably the minimum tractor that I'd recommend would be these 25 horsepower large frame tractors. I think that's about the minimum that you should go for. Probably not a subcompact. Artillian.com. There is no coupon code, I'm sorry, and yes, this is more expensive than the regular Artillian grapple. You can see there's a lot more steel as well as a lot more intricate cutting and manufacturing that had to go on. One more comment, the rakes are not quite the same between the old clamps and the new clamps. There's just been a little bit of difference design. The old ones will fit on the fork frame, but they won't line up quite perfectly. Oh, I said one comment, but there's another one. If you buy a rake for the new one and you decide you want to upgrade to the full grapple, you can do that here. With the original Artillian grapple, you couldn't do that. You couldn't do an upgrade from a rake. So you could buy 3 rakes today and then upgrade one to a clamp and another one to a clamp, or a grapple they call it, as you can afford it. That's entirely possible with this approach. Let me know in the comments section if you have any questions or your initial opinions. I hope that Iron Fist doesn't get a hold of me. It looks kind of mean. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction. We'll continue to use it and continue to report through this year and see how it goes. Artillian.com. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.
And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple.
We just want spring to come. Warm weather.
Warm weather, dry enough to get around. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.